Hello again, friends. This is Jess from J Rose Alchemic Art, back with another video today where we'll be going to the state fair in Iowa, making lots of new clay things, and of course hanging out with the cats. So let's go ahead and get started. So in this first part here, we're actually visiting the Iowa State Fair. It was actually a few months ago, but really enjoyed seeing, of course, all the butter sculptures and the ice sculptures. They really always look so cool. We also managed to catch the Music Man again here, playing on his moving piano, before we hopped on a little ride here and took a nice bird's eye view of the whole state fair. So let's go ahead and watch from here together. And then we went and saw some of the items that were entered into the state fair, including those quilts. I really loved that little mermaid design, so I made sure to take a little video of that. We also managed to see this little dollhouse that someone had put together that was like a little haunted house, and I really got inspired by it and really loved that design, so of course had to include it here for all of you to see as well. We also managed to check out lots of little animals, so we saw the baby ducks and the calves, and managed to get some ice cream because it was really hot that day. And as well as with walking around, you needed something to cool down. Also managed to check by the wine tasting and went and saw the little sand sculpture that they make every year, so you got to see the sheep being built. Of course, we had to check out the old mill and go through the little water ride here as well, so that's what we're going through the tunnel here now. Also had to walk around and check out the garden area because I am always so in love with like all the different varieties and colors that you'll see, and of course it's right at the end of summer, kind of before fall is getting ready to start, so everything is in bloom and it's just absolutely gorgeous, so we'll have to walk around here together as well. After walking around outside, we decided to go check out the calves and the bulls, who were also very hot. You could tell that they were sitting down, but got a little snack and some water and checked out some of the horse riding activities, so very fun and exciting. So by the time we got home, it was time to start prepping and making more clay items. So here I am. I'm actually getting ready to start on my next big thing, which was going to be a little pumpkin patch. So I have found a good technique as far as making the sculpture is using a little bit of foil actually to kind of help mold your base, so that way, for one, it gives a nice little technique where it looks like grass or kind of like the ground is rising up, as well as, you know, it's just good practice too to just, you know, so you can attach things to it. So that's what we're working on here. Yeah, as you can see, we're making sure that everything is fitted properly to the aluminum foil. Making sure that there's no like little air bubbles or things like that, and we'll make sure it's all covered so that way it actually looks like it's, you know, the actual grass of the pumpkin patch. And add our little mica powder here in a minute. Yes, I would definitely recommend using mica powder if you end up getting like a big block of white clay and you don't want to pay for like additional colored clay. This is actually a good way of, you know, still giving yourself color, and it looks pretty realistic, but also, you know, it's a little bit more to your price point probably because the powder is going to last you a while. The only problem is it is very easy to drop, and I have accidentally spilled it all over the carpet before, and it's not fun to clean up. Carpet still looks a little green, but you know that it's okay and it works, so just gotta be careful with it. So now that we have finished our mold, we are good to attach some of our other clay pieces. So here I am making sure to press pretty hard into the ghost to make sure that it stays attached to our mold. And then I've also designed our little pumpkins, so we'll go ahead and try to attach these as well. I ended up making a couple of them because, again, it is supposed to be a pumpkin patch, but I ended up going back into it and adding a little tree design later. So you can see some of the finished pictures of it in my pictures on Instagram or even on my shop now, so make sure to go check it out. So after making sure that the cats had been given sufficient attention, we actually came back on a different day, and I was really inspired and wanted to design a clay pie ghost. So here I am. I actually had molded the tin part of the pie crust to a bottle cap that I had found, and I think it worked actually pretty well. It was pretty rounded, you know, had kind of the shapes around the edges. And then I'm also starting to work on the pie crust here as well. So because the clay needed to be cut pretty thin with my little knife here that I had, as you can see, it was kind of pretty easy to tear. So definitely be careful when you're working with such thin pieces of clay like this. But I ended up repairing it, and I am like kind of making that crosshatch look by pulling the pieces back and then putting them back over to make it look more like the pie crust. So once we attach all of the pieces in the very end here, it'll look very fun. It didn't come out perfect necessarily. I do still love how it came out, and actually the person that purchased this from me from a market really loved the design, so I'm pretty happy with it. But in the end, we cut off some of the excess of the pie crust and then rounded it so it kind of shaped around the tin of it. So looks pretty good. And then added our first glow-in-the-dark clay ghost here to the top of it, and very fun. Also made my first little clay ghost keychain and started to work on our next part. So thankfully the clay keychains that I've made have actually been super popular at my markets lately. I think it's mostly because they're pretty easy to make and they come at a reasonable price because of that. So along with being glow in the dark, I think they're just really fun anyway. But we're working on our next clay piece now. This is a clay graveyard that I have actually been wanting to make for a long time. But kind of similarly to the pumpkin patch, I ended up using a aluminum foil base and then molding the clay around that and adding some more mica powder to make it look like grass. And then I'm going in and making some little gravestones here, which I thought maybe about adding like some text to it just to give it a little extra touch, but I ended up deciding to make this like little spooky tree here and added some little vines as well to the ground. So just like I think these subtle little details that really bring life to the graveyard in general. I'm very happy with how this turned out after all, but as you can see, I wanted to again make sure I adhered everything to the base really well because I didn't want it to fall off or anything later. With these tiny clay vines and everything, it is very easy for things to roll around, so I always recommend working on a solid surface so those things don't roll away from you and then get lost in places you cannot find them again, which again has happened unfortunately in carpet. I definitely recommend working on hardwood floor. So other fun thing about this piece is that the ghost does glow in the dark, so it's very fun to look at it from your office after you've been working on it all night and to see it glow. In the end, this is what it turned out. And I'm honestly really in love with the design. I had so much fun making it, but I think that is actually going to be all for this video for right now, friends. In the next one, we're definitely going to be doing lots of markets, so look forward to all of that talk and prep for it. And let me know if you have any questions. I would love to help out and answer what I can. But until the next time, have a wonderful day.